I'm Tim.
And I'm JP. And we're going to be opening a box of the new 2015 core set for Magic the Gathering. As you can see, we've already gotten a couple packs in at this point, but we wanted to catch you up on the opening that we're doing for our store. Before we open any more packs and show you what we've opened so far, we do want to remind everybody about an upcoming promotion here in the store for Friday Night Magic. On Friday night, starting at 7 p.m., we're going to be running Win-A-Box events for Magic 2015. The entry fee for draft is $15 and $10 for the standard event. So come on down and hopefully you'll get first place and you'll take home a box of the new Magic 2015 core set. As you can see, we did already get a chance to open a couple packs, so we're going to catch you up on what we've opened so far. We have the packs back in the order that we opened them, so you can see what we have here. So we're going to start with pack 1 from our box. Here we go. First card we have is Lava Axe, Black Cat, Void Snare, Divine Favor, Plummet, Chrono Stutter, Sanctified Charge, Will Forged Golem, Borderland Marauder, Oresco Swiftclaw, and moving into the uncommons we have Juggernaut, Zathrid Slyblade, Reclamation Sage, and our first rare is a Mythic Rare, and it is the premier Mythic of the set, Garruk Apex Predator. Each pack does also come with a basic land to fill out that 15th slot, and there is a 16th promotional card that is either promotional card itself or has a token on the back. This is simply a promotional card, so we'll set that out of the way. But obviously this pack having Garruk, the premier and title mythic of the set, I mean, he's all over the packaging for this. It's wonderful to see him opened as our first rare.
Yeah, it's either just starting off with a bang, or this is it for the box.
I'm hoping that this is starting with a bang, because,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the awesome things about this core set is there seems to be a lot of cards that are not only going to be playable, but are actually going to hold their value over time.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to opening the rest of these packs. All right, let's move on.
I've got the second pack of the box. My first pack got a Shaman of Spring, a Razorfoot Griffin, a Welkin Turn. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
You are.
Mirari's Bane, thank you, JP. A Lightning Strike, a Satyr Wayfinder, a Radiant Fountain, a Necromancer's Assistant, and then going on to more, rather, Invasive Species, Mind Rot, Feast of the Fallen, Warden of the Beyond, Stoke the Flame, Llanowar Wastes as our rare, which is awesome, great, and then a forest to back that up.
All right, and it is nice to see Llanowar Waste. Like I was saying earlier, it's nice to see the Painlands come back into Standard right now, because it gives the aggressive decks that have kind of had to be slowed down a little bit because of the Scry lands, it gives them a more viable land option for their decks.
Yeah.
Really enjoy seeing those back. All right, let's move on to our next pack. We'll start this one off with Hammerhand, Oppressive Rays, Forge Devil, Coral Barrier, Hunter's Ambush, Crippling Blight, Black Cat, Eternal Thirst, Living Totem, Netcaster Spider. Moving on to the uncommons, we have Restock, Sacred Armory, Venom Sliver, and our rare in this pack is a Phyrexian Revoker. Basic land is a swamp, and just another advertisement card for our insert.
No token yet.
No token yet, but there is still time. We still have most of a box.
33 packs left.
In this pack, definitely enjoying seeing Phyrexian Revoker getting reprinted. We have Piping Needle right now in Standard from the Return to Ravnica block that has been stopping abilities right now, or activated abilities on cards. but we really haven't had Phyrexian Revoker in Standard for some time, so it's nice to see him back. And once Return to Ravnica rotates in the fall with the premiere of the Concept Tarkir block, it's going to be nice still having that
Yeah,
effect
it's still just
in
going to
Standard.
kind of take the place of Piping Needle, because Revoker was New Phyrexia?
Yes.
Probably a mistake? Okay. So,
All right, moving right along.
going on to pack number 4. Got Sungrace Pegasus, Heal from Reality, Zoft Shade, Hunter's Ambush, Bronze Sable, Oresco Swiftclaw. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You are.
Thank you again, JP. Negate, Scrapyard Mongrel, Pillar of Light, Hydro Surge, and then on to the uncommons. We've got a Johnny's Pride Mate, Gather Courage, Profane Memento, which just sounds like a heavy metal rock band, Sliver Hive as our rare, and Island, and another just advertisement for Duel of the Planeswalkers.
Awesome. All right, so in this pack, obviously nice to see a Sliver Hive. Nice to see lands actually get some awesome activated abilities, and also with the new slivers, which I'm sure we'll see a couple more of. I know we already saw the Venom Sliver in the last pack. We'll get a chance to see the new slivers that are going to be coming into Standard, and almost making slivers sort of a tier 2 deck. It'll be interesting to see where people go with the slivers going forward with the format.
Yeah, I heard a lot of talk about slivers during pre-release and just how good that deck is going to be going into cons and into M15. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to work, really.
All right, let's move on to the next pack. The first pack you'll actually see us get to physically open. One of the things we were talking about while we were doing our first couple initial openings was the design on the packs for this set. Like, the fact that they're doing this very stark white coloring with just this nice solid pop of color makes this look really, really slick for the packaging for the whole set.
It's so visually grabbing for me that when I was opening boxes, for the pre-release, I looked at it and I'm just like, I can't remember ever looking at a set for the packs and the boxes going like how visually great it looks.
It's slick, it's smooth, and we love it. All right, let's dive on in. All right, first common is Aeronautic Tinkerer, followed by Forge Devil, Tireless Missionaries, Carrion Crow, Naturalize, Invisibility, Borderland Marauder, Raise the Alarm, Divination, Will Forged Golem, Wall of Essence, Back to Nature, Battle Mastery, and our rare in this pack is Spirit Bonds. We have a Swamp, and we have our first token, which, to go along with our first rare, is an emblem for Garruk Apex Hunter.
Nice.
Always nice to see the emblems, and they're nice reminders for whenever your Planeswalker does give you an emblem. In this pack, it is a very interesting, for me, limited pack, because you've got a couple interesting choices. Spirit Bonds is obviously a very powerful, limited rare, because it gives all of your creatures the ability to make another creature that has evasion, and that's really awesome in a limited format. And for Constructed, Back to Nature coming back in the format is very interesting with the amount of Constellation decks that people have been talking about. Back to Nature seems to put a damper on those decks as a sideboard choice for any decks running green mana going forward.
Because it's been quite a while since Back to Nature, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the last set Back to Nature is in, but it was in a core set before this.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was M11 or M12. It was one of those two.
I just like seeing cards like make their way back after a couple years where people have kind of maybe forgotten about them, and then they just...
And then the core set's a nice reminder, hey, this effect exists somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, hey, why don't you design a card with this? Well, Wizards has already done that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next set.
All right. Pack here. How this goes here. Starting it off here with Tireless Missionaries, Heal from Reality, Inferno Fist, Sungrace Pegasus, Vine Weft, Typhoid Rats, Verdant Haven, nice to see that card again, Black Cat, Carnivorous Moss Beast, another Mind Rot. Going into the uncommons, we've got Curd Chieftain, Caustic Tar, Congregate, for the rare for the pack, Preeminent Captain, and then Mountain for the basic land, and we've got another advertisement.
And nice to see Preeminent Captain coming back from Morningtide. Haven't really looked into seeing how many soldiers we actually have in Standard to see if there's a deck 2 build around him. I can tell you there's actually a surprisingly strong soldier sub-theme throughout many of the commons and uncommons in M15, so you can actually, if you pick him up early enough, you can use him to put in a lot of your cheaper creatures into play for free, and
yeah.
That's an awesome effect in Limited.
Yeah, and I've also noticed, you know, a lot of the advertisements coming up for cons of Trokir, maybe it's just me, but it looks like it's got a bit of a military theme.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if this Preeminent Captain is just kind of the beginnings of what they're going to have out.
Right. Wizards always does seed a couple cards in the core set before it to kind of indicate, hey, this is where we're going with the format. With M14, they gave us a lot of double color rares, and then all of a sudden we had Devotion, and so it
all of
that
the
was this,
multicolored gods. And
exactly. So maybe Preeminent Captain is a signal of things to come.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next pack with Jace on the design. We'll start this off with a Coral Barrier, Forge Devil, Triplicate Spirits, Nimbus of the Isles, Flesh to Dust, Naturalize, Tyrant's Machine, Living Totem, Mind Rot, Undergrowth Scavenger, Paragon of Fierce Defiance, Roaring Primadox, Battle Mastery, and our rare is Hornet Queen. 4 is for the basic land slot, and just an advertisement for hunting bigger game at Friday Night Magic for the token card. Now, this is interesting because I believe, if I've been watching our packs opening, this is the first time we've opened a Paragon.
Yeah.
And the Paragon is a cycle of 5 uncommons in M15 that each can give +1/+1 to other creatures of the same color of them. There's a Paragon for white, for blue, for black, obviously for red. You can see the Fierce Defiance Paragon in front of you right now, and then for green as well. Hopefully we'll see the rest of those as we continue with our opening. All right, let's move on to the next pack.
Got a nice, pretty Jace on the next pack here, which is, again, just the art, like, popping out. I think they did a great job with that blue on Jace. All right, we'll start off this with Nimbus of the Isles, Foundry Street Denizen, Heliod's Pilgrim, Frost Lynx, Shaman of Spring, Necromancer's Assistant, Netcaster Spider, Rotfeasor Maggot, Undergrowth Scavenger, Sign in Blood, and starting with the uncommons, Paragon of Fierce Defiance, which
Got another one.
2 in a row, Gravedigger, Paragon of New Dawns, and for our rare, a Chord of Calling with a forest to back that up. And then another advertisement for deck boxes by Ultra Pro and Garrick.
Yeah. And obviously this is the reprint of Chord of Calling from the original Ravnica block, from actually Ravnica City of Guilds itself. New art on this card, obviously, but there's been a lot of talk about including this in a lot of green decks to start tutoring for silver bullets. Also, just in general, it's a good card and just amazing things in Malira Pod in any pod deck in Modern right now.
I feel like green is going to be. This is just from my perspective, but green seems to be making a bit of a comeback with M15.
Right. I think we'll see a couple other rares coming up in some of the other later packs that will show why we think green is getting a little bit of a pump. Let's move on to the next pack here. Here's our design. And we'll start this off with a Wall of Fire, followed by Midnight Guard, Void Snare, Shaman of Spring, Shadowcloak Vampire, Pillar of Light, Hydro Surge, Goblin Rough Rider, Meditation Puzzle, Mind Sculpt, Insoul Artifact, Warden of the Beyond, Circle of Flame, and we'll finish things up with Jalira, Master Polymorphist. The basic land in this pack is an island, and the token is an actual token this time. It's a soldier token.
Very nice.
Yeah, this is... As someone who's opening packs and looking for those big, bomby, splashy rares, as I'm looking at this, we got Jalira, Master Polymorphist, which, as someone who loves polymorph decks, she's not the best polymorph effect. And then as a limited player, when I look at this pack, I'm like, I really hope I don't open a pack like this, because I don't see a lot of cards in here that I would like to open. A lot of people have been talking about Insoul Artifact as something that could be very powerful, combined with Ornithopter, which is also in M15 as a common, and also with Darksteel Citadel to turn them into 5/5 huge creatures on turn 2. To me, when I saw people try to do that at the pre-release, it seemed like a lot of Magical Christmas Land thinking. And it just, when it happened, it was great, but it didn't happen consistently enough for me. Now, when you're drafting 3 packs of this set, maybe it's a more viable draft option. I'm sure we'll see that in the next couple weeks with our drafts.
Yeah, definitely. Next pack with Nisa. We're going to start with Amphin Pathmage, Lightning Strike, Zoft Shade, Charging Rhino, Blastfire Bolt, Soul Mender, Mind Sculpt, Torch Fiend, Bronze Sable, a Darksteel Citadel, Back to Nature, an Overwhelm, a Colonian Twin Grove as our rare, and first for the box we've got a foil Glacial Crasher, I'm sorry. Apparently I just can't speak today. A Plains, and then we've got a Zombie token.
Always fun to open a foil in the packs. Glacial Crasher is an interesting card for limited. I could see playing it in some blue-red decks. Colonian Twin Grove putting in an extra copy of itself as a token and being huge based on the number of forests you control is wonderful as well. All right, let's move on to the next pack. And let's see what we have. We'll start things off with Triplicate Spirits, Nimbus of the Isles, Titanic Growth, Necromancer's Assistant, Sanctified Charge, Will-Forged Golem, Chrono Stutter, Borderland Marauder, Oresco Swiftclaw, Military Intelligence, and I can already tell we have a foil in here because there's an uncommon right here where there should be a common, so we'll look forward to that foil.
It did throw me off
Yeah.
the last pack.
Roaring Primadox, Necrogen Scudder. Our actual rare is Master of Predicaments, and we have one of my favorite foils, Foil Mountain. The regular land in the pack is an island, and the token is a soldier in this pack. Now, we haven't really talked about this yet, but all of the Magic 20 whatever core sets have brought back a a mechanic from an older block that they want to see used again. In this sets, we have two examples in this pack of that new mechanic, or that returning mechanic, excuse me, and that's Convoke. Triplicate Spirits has been touted as one of the premier white commons of the set that lots of people are drafting around, because once you put into play one set of Triplicate Spirits, the next set of Triplicate Spirits you attempt to cast is going to be that much more efficient, and they just tend to chain into each other. We saw Court of Calling earlier, which is the premier rare that has the Convoke mechanic on it, but both Triplicate Spirits being a premier white common, and also I saw a lot of people over the pre-release weekend play Wolfforged Golem in their sealed decks. Not only is it a 4/4 guy, but its 6 casting cost is never actually 6. It's usually convoked for either 5 or even 4 total mana cost, which is a very, very efficient spell for limited. All right, let's move on to the next pack.
Start off the next pack with Femoral Shields, Coral Barrier, Miner's Bane, Razorfoot Griffin, Hunter's Ambush, Covenant of Blood, Satyr Wayfinder, a Necrobite, Elvish Mystic, Eternal Thirst, Brood Keeper, Heat Ray, Into the Void, a rare being Haunted Plate Mail, an island as our basic land, and an insect token.
To go with the Hornet Queen that we opened earlier, and also can be generated by Hornet's Nest, which is a new card that's in this set as well. All right, let's move on to the next pack. And this pack has Soul of Chandelure on it. We haven't opened any souls yet. Hopefully we'll be able to see those in some of our later packs. All right, we'll start this off with a Midnight Guard, Research Assistant, Lava Axe, Divine Favor, Covenant of Blood, Titanic Growth, Netcaster Spider, Rotfeaster Maggot, Undergrowth Scavenger, Sign in Blood, Dauntless River Marshal, Staff of the Death Magus, Wall of Frost, and we have a mythic in this pack, and it is Nissa Worldwaker. The basic land is a mountain, and we have a beast token to go along with it. Oh my gosh, I love Nissa.
I think now I'm just going to let you open the rest, because you're opening, you've opened both.
This is true. I have opened Garrick, and I have opened Nissa. I don't think that indicates anything, but I mean, people have already been talking about Nissa being a combo with Ralzeric and the Chain Veil to create an infinite loop of Planeswalker activations so that all of your Planeswalkers can do their ultimates multiple times.
I haven't heard that one. That does
Oh,
sound
okay.
pretty insane.
So here's the way it works. You have to have at least, I believe it's 3 forests that are able to be untapped, but the way it works is you use Nissa's ability to untap. Well, you have to have.
Okay.
So you activate Chain Veil's ability. Ralzeric's +1 allows you to untap a target permanent and tap another target permanent. So you untap the Chain Veil. You allow Nissa to untap 4 lands, which will be, or untap 4 forests. So you obviously target the 4 forests. And then you activate the Chain Veil's ability again, which costs 4. At which point you can activate all of the +1 abilities again.
Wow.
And this allows you to infinitely activate your, at least those Planewalkers' plus abilities as many times as you like in a loop. And once you've established that loop, you can say, I'm doing this X amount of times before I do something different.
That sounds really interesting.
On
Actually,
top of that, I think
crazy.
even if you don't even go for that combo in Standard right now, I really feel like Nissa Worldwaker if you take her down, if you play her on turn 6, she can turn your other untapped land into a 4/4 elemental, and she defends herself. She can untap the force that you used to play her to play another threat to defend her. I really feel like she's just a very, very well-costed planeswalker, and is going to be something we're going to be seeing affecting Standard for the next year.
Great.
All right, let's move on to the next pack.
Right. Get this bad boy open. Right. Let's start this off with a Frost Lynx, Siege Worm, Shadow Cloak Vampire, a Meditation Puzzle, Statute of Denial, Krenko's Enforcer, Marked by Honor, Hydro Surge, Generator Servant, a Diffusion Sliver, so it looks like we're going to have another foil, Brawler's Plate, Wall of Limbs. For the rare, we've got Phytotitan, a foil Sungrace Pegasus, Mountain is the basic land, and a Spirit token, which I believe is the first we've seen of the Spirit.
First Spirit token that we've seen. Seen a couple things that create Spirit tokens with the Spirit Bonds and the Triplicate Spirits. Obviously nice to see Diffusion Sliver in here. Been a lot of talk about the Sliver deck making a comeback, with all of the Slivers being in for about 3 months here, to see if they can make a run at the Standard tables for the next couple months.
Yeah.
Will be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our next pack here. And let's see what's inside. We'll start things off with a Kinsbale Skirmisher, Fugitive Wizard, Foundry Street Denizen, Solemn Offering, Black Cat, Hunt the Weak, Invasive Species, Unmake the Graves, Runeclaw Bear, Fester Gloom, Capshow Kite Fins, that's a fun name to say, Frenzied Goblin, Quickling, and we have Cruel Sadist as our rare. The land is an island, and the token is a soldier. Now, Cruel Sadist is one of the designer card cycles, a cycle of cards that were designed by people outside of Wizards and submitted as design ideas. I think this is the first one we've seen. I think we might have seen a Genesis Hydra already, and I forgot to mention that. But it's definitely interesting to see people outside of Wizards, and Wizards giving people outside of their company the opportunity to design something for this game. All right, let's move on to the next pack.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, for a game like Magic, you don't really see that a whole lot, if any, you know, if at all. So I love that you are allowed to partake in something like that, and they're giving you that chance. So, on to the next pack. Start off with a Solemn Offering, an Amphin Path Mage, an Accursed Spirit, Encrust, Torch Fiend, Ornithopter, which I think is the first time we've seen Ornithopter in this box.
I mean, with it being a common, that's a little shocking.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. A Soulmender, Divination, Generator Servant, a Gargoyle Sentinel, Shrapnel Blast.
To go with the Ornithopter.
Yeah. Belligerent Sliver. Rare for the pack, Return to the Ranks. A foil, we've got a Warden from the Beyond. And then Plains for the Land and Garrick Advertisement instead of a token, so.
Nice pack. Nice to see Shrapnel Blast and Ornithopter together to show one of the premier easy-to-see combos that they put in here. Would like to talk about Generator Servant, because we really haven't spent a lot of time talking about some of the commons. Generator Servant's been getting a lot of buzz. Like, a lot of my friends, I've been talking about how good it is in Limited, just because being able to jump from 2 mana to 5 mana and give your 5 mana spell haste, or just swing in with a 2/1 on turn 3, and eventually use that mana later to give another big guy haste. Like, it's really, really interesting, and I've even seen some people talking about possibly putting that in some of their standard decks. I don't know how powerful it is outside of Limited, but I guess that's to be seen.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on to our next pack. I wish I could remember what the name of this card is, because it's been bugging me the past couple of times I've opened that pack.
Bugging me too.
I cannot remember what card this is when I actually see this card. I'm probably going to kick myself.
Because I'm at a point, you know, where I haven't memorized the pictures to the names yet.
Yeah, like the black one is the only one off the top of my head I do not remember. All right, we'll start this pack off, though, with a Nimbus of the Isle, followed by Lava Axe, Tireless Missionaries, Shadowcloak Vampire, Ranger's Guile, Chrono Stutter, Rummaging Goblin, Bronze Sable, Oresco Swiftclaw, Negate, Sunblade Elf, Stab Wound, Rogue's Gloves, and our rare for the pack is another designer card, Aggressive Mining. The land is an island, and we simply have an advertisement card for our insert. This is one of those packs that, as a limited player, it also makes me cry, because it's a really, really good limited pack. Sunblade Elf being able to pump your team late in the game and being a 2/2 early is an amazing first pick. Stab Wound is premium removal, and it even acts as a win condition in some decks. Oresco Swiftclaw is a great first pick for an aggressive white deck. The Shadowcloak Vampire is great at being able to get evasion. This pack just gives you so many options as a limited player. It makes me quite happy. All right, so let's move on to the next pack.
All right, next pack. Let's open this up here. Should have been prepared. Start off with a Welkin Turn, Crowd's Favor, Midnight Guard, Research Assistant, Typhoid Rats, Verdant Haven, Crippling Blight, Carnivorous Moss Beast, Eternal Thirst, Evolving Wilds, Hot Soup, which I kind of can't believe that is a card title.
Another feature from one of the designer series.
Ah, all right. Cone of Flame, Dissipate, a rare being Waste Not, Mountain as the Land, and just your basic Jace Bellerin Hunt Bigger Game advertisement.
Right, and Waste Not, again, also from the designer cycle, ever designed by the Magic community itself through the Design a Card promotion that Wizards does once every 2 or 3 years or so. I think the last time we did the Design the Card, it was the blue-white spell that exiled something. It was interesting. Waste Not has been talked about as something that could have its uses. I've yet to see someone design something that actually really uses it to its full potential, but it's still a really, really cool card. Looking forward to it being used here in Standard and Modern. We'll go to our next pack with Nissa here on the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding that now.
All right. We'll start with Frostlings, Hammerhand, Oppressive Rays, Necromancer's Assistant, Verdant Haven, Soulmender, Divination, Generator Servant, Raise the Alarm, Statute of Denial, Diffusion Sliver. We have the green Paragon in Paragon of Eternal Wilds, Wall of Limbs, and another Pain land in Shivan Reef. Our land card is a Plains, and our tips card here shows us the different rarities of Magic cards. I mean, it's nice to get another Shivan Reef.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen the green Paragon yet, and
Right.
I think we've only seen the white and the red.
Right. Don't think we've seen the blue one yet. One thing we really haven't talked about yet is this little design here at the bottom of all the rare cards. Rares now have this holofoil imprint on the bottom of them that if you get a chance and you open a couple packs of M15, either at F&M this weekend or if you happen to get a box yourself, you'll notice that it has this foiling down at the bottom, and it has the Planeswalker symbol, and every so often you'll actually see a mana symbol down embedded in that holofoil design. It's really super cool, and hopefully you guys will get a chance to look at these new cards when they come out on Friday. 3, 2, 1.
Right. For our next pack, start off with Triplicate Spirits, Glacial Crasher, Lightning Strike, Kinspale Skirmisher, Child of Night, Titanic Growth, Evolving Wilds, Netcaster Spider, Rot Feaster Maggot, apologize, that just sounds like the worst thing ever, just the title, Staff of the Flame Magus,
And there's an uncommon there, so we got a foil coming up.
Paragon, Blue Paragon, Circle of Flame, Stormtide Leviathan is our rare, and for our foil, it's actually a foil Obelisk of Erd, and then we've got the Mountain as our basic land, just an advertisement.
All right, so foil rares are always fun.
Not going to complain.
Yeah, and let's see, what is, I actually, so here's the fun thing. So I judged all weekend, and there are still some cards, honest to God, I don't even know what they were. So what does Obelisk of Erd actually do?
Let me yank it here. Convoke. So
Okay,
your creatures
so Convoke, we got the new mechanic coming there.
Your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for one mana of that creature's color.
Mm-hmm.
As Obelisk of Erd enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2.
Oh, wow. So if you draft a bunch of soldiers, like we had earlier, or if you know you have a specific creature type that you want pumped, it seems to help that out, which is interesting that we're getting a little tribal synergy with a couple of things. Again, could be a hint at what we're going to be looking at comes cons once we hit the fall. All right, let's move on to the next pack. Johnny there on the design. And we'll start this off with Clear a Path, Solemn Offering, Aeronaut Tinkerer, Crowd's Favor, Witch's Familiar, Ranger's Guile, Typhoid Rats, Plummet, Radiant Fountain, Festergloom, Jorubai Murklurker, hopefully I actually got close to the pronunciation on that, Jace's Ingenuity, Rogue's Gloves, and we have a mythic for a rare in this pack, and it is a Perilous Vault. Land is a swamp, and our token is a spirit.
And again, 3 JP, Tim 0. As far
And
as
just on mythics, I mean, it's not a race yet.
have we met?
All right. So 3 me, Tim 0. It's officially a race.
I mean, I'm going to lose by this point, so we're good. I've accepted my defeat. So for the next pack, we start off with a Peel from Reality, a Thundering Giant, Heliod's Pilgrim, Amphin Pathmage, Hunt the Weak, Witch's Familiar, Sign in Blood, Runeclaw Bear, Flester Gloom, Undergrowth Scavenger. On the uncommons, start off with a Gargoyle Sentinel, a Gather Courage, Altac Bloodseeker, hope I'm pronouncing that right, a Chasm Skulker as our rare, a Swamp for the Land, and a Goblin token to finish off that pack.
Okay, Chasm Skulker again from the designer series of cards there.
So how many designer cards are in this
I
set?
want to say there were 12 to 15. I don't
Okay.
remember the number off the top of my head,
It
but
seems
there were quite a few, and they tried to keep them at uncommon and rare, so obviously they'd be a more special experience for the players. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see an outsider perspective on the design of Magic coming from these creators. Some of them made very strong competitive cards, other of them made very unique effects that kind of asked the player to solve them in order to use them best in their decks. Okay, let's move on to the next pack. Jace on the cover. And let's dig in. Start this off with a Midnight Guard, Void Snare, Clear a Path, Covenant of Blood, Verdant Haven, Goblin Rough Rider, Meditation Puzzle, Mind Sculpt, Blast Firebolt, Marked by Honor, Capsho Kite Fins, Altak Bloodseeker, Devouring Light, and the rare for the pack is an Indulgent Tormentor. The land slot is a forest, and for the advertisement, we have an advertisement for Vintage Masters on Magic the Gathering Online. So for this pack, we have one of the pre-release rares that's coming out here. Overall, it's interesting because we saw the Ajani's Pride Mate earlier, and there's lots of life gain effects like this in the set, and it seems like white tends to gain a lot of just incidental life gain, which makes it a little more difficult for them to be killed and limited. It will be interesting to see how that gets used going forward in the set.
It's pack with Jace on the front here. Start this off with a Kinsbale Skirmisher. Go into an Aeronaut Tinkerer, Forge Devil, Siege Worm, Flesh to Dust, Blastfire Bolt, Marked by Honor, Invisibility, Borderland Marauder, Raise the Alarm, Military Intelligence starts off our uncommons, Act on Impulse, Staff of the Sun Magnus, and a Yavimaya Coast as our rare, Forest to kind of back that up, and a Treefolk Warrior token. To finish out the
with
pack.
the Colonial Twin Grove reopened earlier. First time I've actually seen that token.
Yeah,
And as always, nice to get one of the Painlands.
definitely.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term Painland, they're referred to as Painlands because they can produce colored mana, but it does cause you a little bit of pain by dealing you 1 damage whenever you tap it to produce that mana. For anyone who's not familiar with that terminology. Let's move on to our next pack here. And we'll start this off with a Thundering Giant, Heliod's Pilgrim, Amphin Pathmage, Wall of Fire, Accursed Spirit, Vine Weft, Elvish Mystic, Crippling Blight, Carnivorous Moss Beast, Eternal Thirst, Meteorite, Paragon of Open Graves, Nissa's Expedition, and the rare for the pack is a Chief Engineer. The land is a Plains, and the token is a Soldier. It is hard for me not to open a Meteorite and not laugh, because the flavor text on that card is hilarious.
Okay, well now I have to read it. So, it says,
And if I'm lying, he began.
Yep, alright, that wins. Yep.
It is one of the best flavor texts in this entire set. I swear to all that is cannoli.
On to the next pack here. Start us off with a Research Assistant, Thundering Giant, Plummet, Carrion Crow, Divination, butchered that word, Willforged Golem, Scrapyard Mongrel, Selfless Cathar, Encrust, Goblin Rough Rider, Turn to Frog, Boonweaver Giant, Ancient Silverback, Siege Dragon for the rare, and Swamp for the basic land, and a Beast token to finish off the back.
Very nice, and that's one of the Death Touch beasts that come along with Garruk Apex Hunter. Okay. Moving on to the next pack. We'll start this off with Clear Path, Triplicate Spirits, Glacial Crasher, Lightning Strike, Charging Rhino, Accursed Spirit, Crippling Blight, Evolving Wilds, Living Totem, Unmake the Graves, Wall of Mulch, First Response, Stab Wound, and our rare is a reprint, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. The land is a Plains, and our advertisement is for Duels of the Planeswalkers 2015. So it's nice to see Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth come back into the format. It really makes the mono black decks be able to generate their mana off their colorless lands so much more effectively. If I'm drafting this pack, that's actually probably not the card I'm picking, even though it's a nice rare. Just like the other pack we looked at that I completely forgot to mention, I'm taking Stab Wound in this pack. Stab Wound is a win condition and excellent removal to boot. And in this pack, I'm probably going to wheel a black card out of this, considering how heavy we are in the black cards in this pack.
Yeah, it's a very heavy black pack.
So I should get something black back. All right, let's move on to the next pack.
Start this pack off with a Void Snare, Inferno Fist, which is familiar, Naturalize, Ornithopter, Sanctified Charge, Invisibility, Blood Host, just uncommon there.
Means we have a foil.
Yeah, Paragon of Open Graves, Misa's Expedition, rare being Kirkesh, Onaki Agent. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, sure. I mean, I'll take it. For the foil, we've got a Living Totem, a Black Swamp for the land, and then just your basic Pro Tour M15 advertisement to finish out that pack.
Nice. So yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that.
Is it like Kirkesh?
Kirkesh Onaki Ancient. Being able to duplicate the activated abilities of your artifacts is something that could be very interesting in a mono red EDH deck. I don't know. It's such a unique effect that I'm interested to see what people end up doing with it in standard.
I'm noticing different creature types that I don't really see, that it just makes me laugh in my head, where you see, Plant Elemental, Ogre Spirit, Skeleton Warrior, it's just different creature types that just make me chuckle, that it's creative, it's unique, so I dig it.
All right, let's move on to the next pack. And we have Lava Axe, Tireless Missionaries, Glacial Crasher, Clear Path, Verdant Haven, Flesh to Dust, Sign in Blood, Radiant Fountain, Satyr Wayfinder, Evolving Wilds, Shrapnel Blast, Jace's Ingenuity, Feral Incantation, and Yasan, the Wandering Bard. Our land is a plains, and we have a spirit token for our insert. And Yasan will sing the song of your people, and he will keep singing it until it dies.
Singing bard. I
Singing,
love it.
singing bard. Like, I saw so many people who opened this and played green just use it to such effect, because even at 1, you're usually getting an Elvish Mystic. At 2, you've got so many different options, and it just keeps getting bigger and better as you continue to let it sing the song of your people.
Great.
As it sings through your deck.
Yeah. As it sings the death of your opponent. All right. Get the next pack open here. We're going to start off with a Razorfoot Griffin, a Welkin Turn, Mirari's Bane, Ephemeral Shields, Typhoid Rats, Shaman of Spring, Ranger's Guile, Carrion Crow, Carnivorous Moss Beast, Necrobite, starting with the uncommons, a Sunblade Elf, a Nightfire Giant, which is the black.
That's the black.
That's the
There
black
we
pack.
go. Now we know what it is.
Illusory Angel, Obnixilis, Unshackled as the rare, a Forest for the land, and just your basic Hunt Bigger Game Ed to finish out that pack.
And Obnixilis coming back is a very unique choice, but since N15 chose to tie in very tightly with Duels of the Planeswalkers, since they were revisiting Zendikar there, they chose to bring back a couple of the legendary creatures from each of those planes, Obnixilis being from Zendikar. Nightfire Giant is an interesting one to bring up because luckily it's one of the pack arts, but there's a cycle of Curd Ape style cards, Sunblade Elf being another one of them, that get bigger if you have a specific basic land in play. The Sunblade Elf obviously wanting planes so that it can activate its white ability. And the Nightfire Giant, which I saw used a great effect in many limited decks, being able to just constantly spend 5 mana and shock things every single turn in limited. It's a very backbreaking effect. All right, we'll move on to our next pack with said Nightfire Giant on the front. And we'll start with Inferno Fist, Kinsbale Skirmisher, Fugitive Wizard, Foundry Street Denizen, Carrion Crow, Hunter's Ambush, Covenant of Blood, Hunt the Weak, Netcaster Spider, Rotfeaster Maggot, Ulcerate, Seraph of the Masses, Geist of the Moors, and our rare is another Pain Land. It's Battlefield Forge. The land is a basic island, and our insert card is an ad for mtgmerch.com. I think we've covered most of the themes that are throughout the entire set. Let's move on to the next pack.
All right, we're going to start off the next pack with Oppressive Rays, Coral Barrier, Forge Devil, Triplicate Spirits, Zoft Shade, Vine Weft, Sign in Blood, Runeclaw Bear, Fester Gloom, Undergrowth Scavenger, Uncommons, Blood Host, Constricting Sliver, Paragon of Eternal Wilds. For our rare, we've got a Hushwing Griff, Swamp as the land, and a Duel of the Planeswalkers advertisement to finish out the pack.
There's been a lot of talk about Hushwing Griff in Modern, shutting down the... blanking on card names right now. Shutting down the Splinter Twin combo decks, and also to an extent shutting down the Melira Pod decks as well. Being able to prevent their creatures from triggering their Enter the Battlefield effects. All right, next pack. We'll start this pack off with the Frostlings, Wall of Fire, Oppressive Rays, Flush to Dust, Vine Weft, Statute of Denial, Krenko's Enforcer, Marked by Honor, Hydro Surge, Generator Servant, Tormod's Crypt, Constricting Sliver, Brawler's Plate, and our rare is Polymorphous Chest. The land is a forest, and the insert card is a squid token. And now you can make frogs.
Right. This pack starts off with ephemeral shields, frost links, hammer hand, a siege worm, raise the alarm, statute of denial, tyrant's machine, Krenko's enforcer, selfless cathar, dauntless river marshal. So that starts our uncommons. So we've got a foil in here.
So you're beating me on the foils.
First response, that is correct. Endless obedience. I'm just hoping for just a giant foil in here. Life's legacy is our rare with a cone of flame foil and a mountain as the basic land, and just your basic Pro Tour add in there to finish off that pack.
Yeah, you've definitely got me beat on the foil side of things this
Yes.
box. I may have more mythics, but you have more foils. It all comes out even in the end.
Sure. No.
All right, let's get into the next pack. This will be my last pack, since we're just down to 2 right now. Start my last pack off with a Lava Axe, Tireless Missionaries, Glacial Crasher, Child of Night, Charging Rhino, Tyrant's Machine, Krenko's Enforcer, Selfless Cathar, Chrono Stutter, Rummaging Goblin, Wall of Essence, Gravedigger, Might Makes Right, and the rare, a Hornet's Nest. The land is a mountain, and the insert is a squid token again. And of course, Hornet's Nest, again, we talked about that earlier, going along with Hornet Queen. Once it's dealt damage, you get lots of death-touching insects, which is a great boost in Limited. Can be even better in Standard.
All right.
Moving on.
Empty box.
Yes.
Empty box.
Here is the last pack. So let's hope I can get a mythic rare in here so I can at least get as many mythic rares as the Miami Heat won in the national championship. Oh, it's a terrible joke, I know. I apologize. Razorfoot Griffin, Welkin Turn, Mirari's Bane, Ephemeral Shields, Black Cat, Titanic Growth, Room Claw Bear, Necrobite, Invasive Species, Venom Sliver, so I do have a foil, Act on Impulse, Devouring Light, our rare is a Resolute Archangel, our foil is a foil Yavimaya Coast.
Very nice.
There we go. Island as the basic land, and another Pro Tour ad. So,
All right. I mean, no mythic, but I mean, foil land, I...
got a couple foil rares in the box. So, yeah, I'll
That's
take
very
it.
exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up our M15 box opening for you guys. If you want a chance to open one of these boxes, come on down to Comic Town. We'll be selling these tomorrow, and also we'll be giving them away as prizes to our first place winners at our F&Ms for the next 4 F&Ms. We look forward to seeing you here, and have a wonderful day.